welcome to The Sigma Show, episode 97. It's your host, Sigma. Just before I let you know who's joining me this week, real quick, we'll go over what our topics shall be. First up, Jon Bernthal, we all know him as the Punisher, is about to return to the MCU. We wanted it to happen. Apparently, it's been confirmed. We'll talk about that whole situation, and I guess probably about some Marvel happenings in general. And after that noise, we'll get into the latest in the Microsoft Activision Blizzard merger. Essentially, how Sony is kind of like grabbing at straws now that it seems like some of these regulators are loosening up, and the deal might be going through sometime soon. So here to join me and talk about these topics, Ash Redux.
Yo, glad to be back.
Blue Bones. Oh, Blue, you're muted. I read those lips.
Yeah, thanks. So you felt the energy. What's going on, everybody?
And Superman Jeff.
Yep. What's going on?
What's up? Welcome, everybody. This particular collection of guests, we have not had this set up for what Discord tells us is about a year. About a year's time. So this is really a truly monumentous occasion. Glad to have you guys all back to talk about some video games and such. And as we tend to do, let's go ahead and talk about some video games. What have you guys been playing? What have you guys been watching, reading, listening to, etc., etc.? Lord Reference says, these are Super Smashy Bros on stream, yo.
The game is Super Smash right now.
Yeah, I'll change it.
I guess I'll start.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I've been doing I've been writing a lot, doing a lot of writing, and it's coming from a lot of shows and books and stories I've been studying. Anime wise, I just finished Jobless Reincarnation. That is one of the best anime I've watched in a very long time.
Really?
100%. And it's a isekai, but they did this different. It's the writing takes the cake on this one.
Yeah, I love it. I thought it was good.
Yeah.
And it's a real chunky season too.
Bro, it's 24 episodes.
I know. I was so happy when I saw that.
24 good episodes. And the second season's coming out this year. So Jobless Reincarnation. Excellent. After that, I did a re-listen. I don't know if it's a reread, but because it's an audiobook, right? But I did a re-listen to Ray Bear by Jordan Fueco, and because I picked up the second book, so I was doing the first one to check out the second book, which is called Redemptor, and I just started that like yesterday. It was amazing. The re-listen, and I'm excited for what is happening in the second book. They kind of got over. The author kind of got over the basic fantasy stuff. And in the second book, she said, okay, all this wonderful stuff happened. Now let's look at the real fallout from it. And you're kind of going back to the street level and seeing, it's kind of like when you watch an Avengers movie and you see Hulk throwing a car, you're like, oh, that's amazing. Now let's look at the person who has to deal with that car. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of what this second book is addressing, the fallout from the heroes' monumentous events. So between that, those two, I've also been watching a super old show that came out in the 70s called Columbo. Some of you might have heard of it.
Yeah, it's like a detective.
Yeah, and so I initially, I'll give you the short story. One of my players for an upcoming D&D campaign was like, I want to base my character off Columbo. I'm like, what the heck is that? And he's like, I'm like, what's a Columbo? And so he sent me a small clip on YouTube, and I was like, this ain't doing it. Let me go find an actual episode and watch it. I found it on Tubi. And when I say that this show is different, and I like it much more than I thought I would, I think traditionally it would be considered a murder mystery, but I don't believe it's a murder mystery. And the only reason why I say that is because if you've ever watched an episode of Columbo, you start off knowing who did it, how they did it for the most part, and then you're just watching Columbo catch this person. Now, typically, especially back in the day, the celebrity guest star was the villain. So the whole enjoyment of it was watching your favorite celebrity get caught by Columbo
Right.
and almost get away with it, right? And then see how much they really look like a bad guy. And so in that light, one is done by Universal. Two, every episode's like an hour and 30 minutes. Like they didn't waste any time telling this story. And I like it. I think I finished the first, I want to say the first season was like 6 or 7 episodes, but they were all really good and like edge of your seat, nail biting kind of deal.
How old is Columbo? Do you know like when it was actually airing?
I want to say early 70s.
Early
Yeah, that's old. That's old.
they-
That's like Perry Mason and Murder She Wrote and all those.
And that's the thing, because like there's a new Perry Mason now on HBO.
I've been watching that. That is so good.
It's good.
It
Yeah, I
is
keep
so
hearing it's good. Honey Money just mentioned, oh, it's like Poker Face in terms of Columbo, because Poker Face is doing that same thing where you, the viewer, knows what's going on, but you're watching the character solve it with their skill set.
And then set up a trap for the villain. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think one of the craziest things about this show is that so when I first watched it, I was in the first season. I'm like, man, this is old as hell. I'm gonna keep watching. Let's see what's happening. But then I was like, let me see what the later episodes look like. I jumped up to season 10. There's 16 seasons of Columbo, by the way.
Right.
Yeah, I jumped to season 10. I was like, this is a whole different show.
It went on for a long time.
Yeah, no, for sure. And the main character looks crazy old, as he should. That's just time. But yeah, I for me, it's kind of cool to see shows where people grow up on, like physically grow up on. You know what I'm saying?
No, especially when they're kids. That's really like weird. Like the Wonder Years and Boy Meets World. Coincidentally, those two characters are not characters, but those two actors are brothers, and they both were on shows where they started as children and grew to adulthood, which is very strange. Yeah. But yeah, I love seeing that.
It was more predominant back in the day, though. Like a lot of the shows went on for like 35 years. Like The Price is Right and Perry Mason was like 35 seasons.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, that's true. Like I can't think of like a modern sitcom or series that has that many seasons, but probably because they're so expensive to make nowadays, right?
And also, there was only like 4 channels back then.
Always Sunny in Philly's going on season 15 right now.
That's true. Yeah.
But that's like one of the longest running shows currently, period. Especially comedies. Yeah, that's kind of breaking records. But you're absolutely right. That's not very common for the shows to last more than 5 years nowadays.
But sort of,
yeah.
I'm glad about that.
Yeah, because there's so much to watch now. It wasn't as that wasn't the case back then. Yeah,
there's saturation in that market.
Yeah. I think that's why people are starting to. I think that's why you have Disney breaking up all their stories into like different series instead of doing the Marvel Universe season 1, the Marvel Universe season 2, which is probably the format they would have gone with way back in the day. But coming off of Columbo, I've been playing Wo Long. I think that's been fun. You know, it's just what do you call it? We're just benders running around in a Souls game. Like
no, yeah, it's definitely got that same energy. But it's interesting to hear you say that you're liking Wo Long because it's a Souls-like, and like that's generally not been a genre you've been into, right?
100%. A couple of folks I was playing with compared it to Elden Ring. Like, oh, if you like this, you should play Elden Ring. I was like, yeah, but this is my biggest drawback with Elden Ring personally. I'm not saying the game is bad. I'm not saying, you know, I'm just saying I don't like the look of the characters. 100%.
You
I think
want to
all
make
the
them
art was terrible.
That's right. The customization does not look good. Like it's just like, oh, here's this ugly canvas, and you could just put armor and stuff on top of it.
Exactly.
That's how you feel about Elden Ring, or that's how you feel about Wo Long.
That's how I feel about Elden Ring.
Okay, that's how I felt about Wo Long.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't really like most of the armor on that.
Okay, so the character creator on Wo Long I think it was one of the best I've seen in a modern console game in forever.
Yeah, the character creator is actually pretty powerful in that, yeah.
That sold me first. Now, how fast I was able to change up the look of my armor and get all different pieces, that kind of kept me into it. But I will admit the variety of looks right now, and I'm not finished with the game, but the variety of looks right now is very limited. But they let you kind of change it up on the fly once you finish the, like 4th level. So
yeah, they're fairly freeing with that because they even have a transmog system. So like you can pick you know,
They call it
whatever armor you want.
decoration.
Yeah,
Mhm.
decoration. You can pick whatever you want and then just make it look like however you want. But like you hit the nail on the head. Like there's a lot of variety, but they just chuck it at you. Like your inventory is so stacked with junk because it'll be the same exact piece of armor you were wearing, less
With
stats,
different perks.
lower stats. I mean, yeah, there's different perks, or whatever, but like the perks are like plus 2% to this uh passive ability that
Uh,
you don't know that whether you use it or not. Like it's like kind of useless, irrelevant stuff.
it's
Like
more standard RPG like item drops as
yeah,
opposed to Elden Ring, which is like you get that, and that's most of the time you can only get one of most of the items in the
yeah,
game.
like that was one
Mm.
thing that was rubbing me the wrong way because like in most cases, if I was wearing a piece of armor, I would just start getting that piece of armor as a drop from anything. Doesn't matter what I'm killing, what chest I'm opening. All of a sudden, I keep getting the sword I'm holding. I'm getting the armor I'm wearing. Like they're just giving you more and more and more because like they don't know what to do with all this loot they have in their tables. I don't know.
I don't know. Like, okay, so I hear what you're saying. As far as you want diversity in the drops, or maybe even specificity in the drops,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I get that. My thing with that, and the only reason why I think I would justify it in my head, we're coming from, and I'm not going to spend too much on this, but this is like a Dynasty Warriors story, right? The
Mhm.
story of the Three Kingdoms kind of
Hmm.
deal. So I'm
Boo
coming back
boo.
from killing 100 people in Dynasty Warriors, and I'm seeing the same story, and I'm just like, okay, cool, but this is a corrupted version of that, right? I This is just me justifying it story wise. Everything is disorganized right now. You don't know who you find is whether they're a zombie or not. Like it doesn't matter what colors they're wearing at this point, right? In the last games, you're wearing if you're green, you're yellow, you're blue, whatever. Here, it doesn't matter who you find as long as they a zombie for the most part. I don't mind seeing a whole bunch of war supplies that are very similar
Hmm.
in the same area. Um, Now there are specific drops with some of the bosses that you. Well, actually, I think most of the bosses that you beat, there's a specific drop for that,
Hmm.
and that's where I do feel the unique specificity will come in. But yeah, it didn't bother me as much, but I can understand your point where it's like, why am I getting two swords from a dog? You know, um, what was he
Like
doing with two
this
swords?
dog
Why
ate
didn't he use
dual
it on
blades.
me?
Like
And
what?
then where was he hiding it? You know, there's a lot of questions there. But
But
the three.
you just
Go
reminded
ahead.
me because you're a big
Oh,
Dynasty Warriors fan. Like this was made by
Team Ninja.
no, not Team Ninja.
Yeah, it
No, yeah.
was.
I'm sorry, you're right. Yeah, Team Ninja.
Yeah.
They did Neo and stuff before, but as someone who's familiar with the Dynasty Warriors or the Three Kingdoms mythos as it's been in Dynasty Warriors for
Yeah.
forever, this game
Hmm.
does touch on that fantasy. But I found I could not follow anything that was happening. Like there's a bunch
Oh
of
yeah.
clearly big names that they put in front of you and have you fight
boo
against and with.
boo.
Yeah, like Lubu's there, for example. But
Hmm.
I'm like, what? Like stuff is happening off camera, and then like they're sort of like half explaining it to you, and then you go to
Yeah.
fight somebody because of that thing that happened, and it's like, why am I in this? Like I had nothing to do with what happened.
So check this out, right? I'm comparing this experience to my previous Souls starting experiences, and I have way more understanding of this story than I do of Bloodborne. Do I do of Dark Souls? Any of them? I was going to mention like one or two. Any of them?
Uh huh.
Uh, yeah, and I haven't watched Elden. I haven't watched the full playthrough of Elden Ring, but I heard that story is easy to follow if you're reading most of the time. So when it comes to a Souls-like game, the story's not bothering me too much, and because I'm somewhat familiar with this, I feel comfortable already. And I'll say one of the biggest things about this game versus the other Souls games I've been playing, I'm not punished often for losing, and not as harshly,
Yeah, it's
not
a little
nearly
more
as harsh.
forgiving in that department for
Yeah,
sure.
and that makes me want to play it. Whenever I die, I don't feel like I just lost an hour's worth of work. I never don't feel that. I don't feel that at all with this game. Even though
That's
there
Now,
fair.
are drawbacks, it's I think it's cool. The whole morale system,
Yeah, I really like what they did there.
that is really awesome. It really changes how much of each map that are pretty intricately done you're gonna explore.
It almost feels like how World of Warcraft gameplay shifted to the MOBA, where they're like, oh, let's condense the level up process into like this bite-sized experience, this bite-sized loop, right?
Yeah.
They're like, all right, well,
Yeah.
let's condense the act of getting strong enough to fight the enemies into just this level.
Yeah,
So like you're
exactly.
doing like a
Yeah.
mini leveling, even though you have a character level that's independent. But that it also kind of makes some of that stuff redundant. It's like, all right, what does my character level matter so much if within the level itself I just need to get my morale high enough to have a bonus over all these other guys? I'm sure they're leveling everyone accordingly, but it's like you could have just left everything the same if if it's going to also depend on this morale system.
I think the morale system plus your character build is it really shows how effective you can be at the top of your courage, if you will. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
If you're thinking of morale as a more emotional stat versus a buff stat, then it doesn't matter how brave you are if you just got, you know, a chopstick that you find me with. It really doesn't. Like you might be able to pull it off, yeah, if you're very skilled, but if you're not strong, you're not strong. Period. You know.
Mhm.
So I think the morale is more of a emotional meter than an actual power up meter.
You know, I
'Cause
like I like his justification in the lore because
Yeah.
you are fighting a war, right? So it's like, oh, we're planting
Exactly.
our flags, we're taking over territory, so our troops feel better about the encounter than the enemy does, so they're now
Exactly.
weaker than us. Like, it makes
Yeah.
sense,
They have as much like bravado, or they feel, I guess, plot armor. You shift the plot armor throughout the game.
right? But yeah,
I think that's fine. Yeah. But I know we dragged on that. Other than that, I don't think I'm playing too much else. I said, oh, Cult of the Lamb. I just picked that up yesterday. That's been a lot of fun. It's kind of like my bloody Animal Crossing. So you know, that's been great. And yeah, I think that's it for me.
is that something you think Animal Crossing could use, like just more blood?
Isn't that Isabel?
Not for
Is that
Animal Crossing.
Isabel's story?
No,
That's
no,
not
no,
her.
no.
That's not her life story.
That's
She's
what
not
she
a
did
she.
before Tom Nook
Before she joined,
reined her in.
yeah.
She's not a
She was
sheep
at least
all.
part of the quote. You know what I'm saying?
Tom
Completely
Nook was
different
like,
animal.
"You have promise. Come and work for me."
That's the sheep from Zootopia. The
Now that's a little bit more accurate.
the deputy mayor.
A little bit. But this sheep
sick.
isn't inherently evil. They were just endangered, about to be the last one. They were gonna kill it, and the one who waits, aka like the devil, is like, nah, I'm not done with you yet. Make a call and we'll get back at these cats. And that's basically it. It's a dope setup. Quick and simple, gorgeous colors, music, and mechanics. I'm here for it.
Nice. All right, does that wrap things up for you, Blue? Or you've been watching stuff?
I mean,
no, yeah, you
the
told us
stuff I
about
watched,
Columbo
you
already,
talked
yeah.
about it. Yeah.
All right.
That's it.
Anybody feel like jumping in next?
I'll go next.
Go right ahead.
Let's run right through it. Boop, boop, boop. So watching Perry Mason. Been watching Perry Mason. Similar to what Blue said about Columbo. They tell you what happened. You see how it happens, but it goes through the course of them solving it and coming to the conclusion on their own through clues and such. And it's actually the characters who make it such a good show. So if you have time to watch it, I definitely would.
But rather than like a detective, this is Perry Mason's an attorney, right?
He starts out as a detective, as a
Okay.
private investigator.
Right.
And then don't want to go too much into it. You could some stuff goes on through the course of it. Season 2 just came out maybe last week. Season 1 is already completely finished, but some things transpire without spoiling. I don't want to say what goes on specifically, but it's a very good story. Corruption and all that jazz going on. You get to see how everything happens and his journey dealing with his demons and all that stuff. So it's a good show. Like you said, I think that ran like 35 seasons back in the day. When I was looking up some stuff on it, it was like, they don't know why it ended. They just know it went on too long, and it just kind of is like, you know what, we're gonna do something else. So when I saw it, I was like, I'll watch it. I watched the first episode. I was like, okay, it was okay. I ain't had nothing to watch. I was like, let's watch the second episode. Okay, that was good. And then after that, I was hooked. It was kind of just constant development. It was just so good. Every episode was something crazy going on. Aside from that, I watched Black Summoner. I think Blue was talking about that a long time ago, if I'm not mistaken. Black Summoner is another isekai.
You just on that one?
I just started I finished it, but I just watched it It was good. I enjoyed it. I was actually ran out of episodes. I'm like, oh, there's no second season yet. God damn it. But it's your standard isekai situation, but I think it's done very well. They tell you this very on, so it's not really a spoiler. He goes into the world with no memories of the past. He doesn't know what happened in his past life. He just knows that this ain't where he from. You know what I'm saying? But it's done very, very well. The magic, the characters. Of course, he has his little harem, but I like each one of those characters. Of course, why not? And he's a summoner.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're good. And he's a summoner, so it's in the name. But what were you gonna say?
After I've been watching, after Jobless Reincarnation, I gotta say, man, that's a C anime tops.
Oh yeah.
You gotta Black Summoners, just like you said, it started good. In my opinion, I think the world building was okay. But when you see stuff like Jobless, you're like, man, that is the most shallow thing in the world. It's like buying shoes at Walmart versus buying shoes name brand. They're both gonna work, yeah, for sure. But you just know one's gonna be better quality than the other, like 100%. It's not gonna feel the same.
Right.
After you've come from name brand, it's hard to go back.
that Pathmark brand cereal.
Yeah.
No, I feel that. They're watching something in the same genre after watching something incredible can definitely feel like this is lacking now. That's kind of how I've been. I'll go into that later, I guess. Go ahead, Jeff.
But like I said, Jobless Reincarnation, like Blue mentioned, is so good. It's so very all the characters and their motivations, they just all make sense, and it just works in the world that it's in. Even when they introduce new characters, I'm sorry, I wasn't even talking about Jobless Reincarnation. Let me just go back. Black Summoner was good. Was good. No, you're good. Last of Us, I've been up to that. That's been super, super good. That's been very well received. I think critically and from just viewers. I think it's been very well done. Pedro Pascal has just been on point. Even little Jorah Mormont, I can't remember her name.
Lyanna Mormont, Bella Ramsey.
Yeah. She's been doing such a good job. It's a different Ellie, but I like this Ellie. And it's such a good show. Me and the ladies have been watching it week to week, and it's been, I think this Sunday is a season finale, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So,
I just watched the last episode. The most recent episode last night.
The one from last week. Okay.
Yeah, and it Bella Ramsey did her thing in that. That.
Oh yeah.
She really was like, all right, she's the main character. She
right.
This is her role now.
Right. Because I remember that part from the game, and it was just like I was watching it. And then the game part was in the back of my mind, seeing that there, and just watching those both. And I love how they did this one. And the dude who even played David was just menacing. He did such a good job. Won't go too much further than that because it is a fresh episode. Also, The Mandalorian. Oh my God! Listen,
I'm listening.
You didn't hear that? Oh my God, the show is just so good. Season 3 started. It has a lot of weight to carry this season. There's a lot that it has to, because the last 2 seasons were really good. This has a lot this season has to live up to. And I think right now is definitely setting the stage. I, for one, love what they're doing at evolving the Mandalorian mythos. They're definitely expanding it and kind of building it as it goes along. Casey, you don't know, but Blue knows. When they first introduced Boba Fett, that's all you knew was about Boba Fett. That's all you knew. There were no Mandalorians at that time. They slowly started to build that concept and what they were. And right now, because a lot of stuff isn't canon anymore, they're slowly building that civilization and everything that goes along with it as the show goes on. I won't go into specifics about the episodes because there are a lot of spoilers in it, but it was very well done, and I think some exciting stuff happened, and I'm excited to see where they go with it. I, for one, and if you see the trailers, you just saw there were multiple Mandalorians. I, for one, was just glad to see that in different colors and stuff. It reminded me of the time of Rebels and Clone Wars, where there were a lot more than just a couple of them. I know we saw more of them in the first season when they came out of the COVID to help Din Djarin get away from Grief Kargan and them when they were trying to take
Yeah, that was a fun episode.
Grogu. Yeah, that was when that had me on my seats. Like I was just giddy when they came out flying in the sky with the minigun. Oh Lord, this is the way. Oh bro, like that was the point. And this episode, I mean, this season is definitely starting off on that same route. Yeah. As far as playing, Destiny 2. So when I say Destiny 2, there's not gonna be much more after that. So I've been playing the new season, and also the new DLC, which is Lightfall. I've been slowly chipping away at that. I think I'm at like 1740 something right now. I should be almost done with the campaign. I'm doing that on Legendary, so that's been a lot of fun.
So have you been playing that solo too?
Yes.
Dang, because I did the first 2 missions solo. It is rough.
See, I'm a vet. You a vet, but I'm a vet. So like,
so you tell me you not dying, you not having to replay the mission.
I died, but I'm past.
Okay, that's
it,
all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Because I also passed it. I did not finish the mission.
Okay, yeah. You made it seem like you died. He's like, "Up, this ain't for me. Let's go back."
No, it's just hard. Like it's really hard. Like that's the thing. Like
It
it's been so long that I forgot. Yeah, Destiny used to be stupid hard. Like even with a full group, like they put a bunch of challenge in front of you, and like you have to coordinate. Like I was just reminded that I was like, oh, I still love this loop. Like I love the gameplay, but like, damn, I need a fire team.
yeah. It's like, you know what? This would be so much easier with another person, and that's what the fun of that used to be. Was like, oh, we got a fire team. Let's go in and do this. Blah blah blah. And also, like from what I heard, they made Lightfall harder because people were saying that Witch Queen was too easy.
Really?
So they made certain aspects of Lightfall harder. And also like the Lightfall campaign, you get double rewards for doing just like Witch Queen for doing it in Legendary, and at the end of it, you get a full set of soft cap gear. So I think you get boosted. I think at 1800, you get a full set of that.
Okay.
So it kind of sets you off on a good path. If you just do normal, once normal is done, you still got to go do your pinnacles and your legendary drops and all that stuff, and then slowly build yourself back up. But like,
all right, that's cool.
It's such a fun game. And also like they streamlined a lot of stuff, so you can make your builds now. You can save them in Destiny 2. So like your mods and stuff,
resets and stuff.
Yeah, you used to only be able to do that through Destiny Inventory Manager. It was a third-party app you can go into, set your mods and stuff up, and select it, and it'll transfer over and stuff like that. Now you can do it directly in Destiny, set your mods up, and now they simplified the mods where the mods are more. You don't have to have on a solar arm piece to use that solar mod. You can just use the mods on the slots that they're designed to go into, as opposed, because like sometimes I realize, oh, that mod only works on a void arm piece. Now I gotta go in and get a void arm piece. Now I gotta level up to 10 using all my shards and ascended shards and all that stuff. Now I don't use all this material. Now I can use this this void arm piece that I needed for this seasonal artifact mod. Same thing with the seasonal artifact. They kind of streamlined that. You can use all the mods that you unlocked at one time. You don't have to then go and select those and equip those into your armor.
Yeah,
once you unlock,
because it used to be tied to each piece of gear or something, right?
Right. You had
but
to.
Now it's tied to the class.
Now it's tied to just the artifact. So when you go to the artifact,
right. Yeah.
When you go to the artifact tree now, once you unlock it, it's unlocked. That's it. Now you can use that. You don't have to then go and put on anti-champion rounds for like overload rounds or anti-barrier rounds.
Yeah, that's way more streamlined.
Oh, so much easier. So much easier. And then from Destiny, we did some Guilty Gear Strive last night. That was fun. Got in a lot of matches. It's good, but I'm not. It's not as, and that could just be me from the surface. It's not as in depth of other stuff, in depth of other 2D fighters I've seen, but it is very good. I don't think I'll spend a lot of time on it just because, like I said before, I'm saving all my fighting game memory for Street Fighter 6 when that comes out. And then God of War Ragnarok, I've been playing that. Such a good game. So much fun. Such a beautiful game, too. Like, I have my gripes with Sony, but like when you play that game, it looks good. I think one of the first things I noticed was like the wrinkles on his knuckles, fam. Like you can see the wrinkles on this man's knuckles, and that's my. I'm thinking.
What does it for you?
Yeah, it was just like, yo, son,
He's
like,
got a-
yeah, like,
he's got a-
look at
You got a
It's the
knuckle
details,
fetish, yeah.
you know, knuckles,
Yeah.
horse balls, all that shit. If you put in there, Jeff is gonna notice.
gotta notice, gotta take
I
notice.
remember Red Dead came out. Jeff was talking about the balls.
He was all on them balls, Jeff.
He was all
Yeah.
about the horse balls,
The
man.
cowboys, man, too. Like if you looked at the right angle, they got him right. So and that made me think like Xbox needs something that shows you the power of the console, shows you the graphical enhancement that they put into the Series X, and there's not a lot of games that show that off.
Yeah, it's like a mix of the console supply and the pandemic. Like all their big heavy hitters were all super delayed, and like even the stuff that they did get out like kind of weren't fully finished. Like Halo Infinite was supposed to be on a brand new engine, for example, and like it looked great, but like you're saying, like it didn't look like platform
Anything
defining. So yeah, I get what you're saying. Like Hellblade still hasn't come out yet, Hellblade 2, and like when they first showed the preview for that, I was like, oh, this is next gen. Like that's what next gen is gonna look like. Where's that game? Exactly.
Yeah.
But does that wrap things up for you, Jeff?
Oh yeah, that's it.
All right. How about you, Ash? You want to go next?
Oh yeah, I'll go next. Also
killed Ash.
watching the what?
I'm gonna say who killed Ash. It's a murder mystery.
It's a murder mystery. Get Columbo and Perry Mason on it for me. Excuse me. But no, I also watched. I am watching and ready for the season finale for The Last of Us. Also was really enjoying the show. I think overall they did a good job. I saw an article, and it was funny because I saw this article right after I had this thought, which was people saying, I really like. There was a thread of tweets. I really enjoyed the show. Wanted some more infected, and I was like, there was a lack of infected, like throughout the show, which I don't mind. I enjoyed them focusing on the characters, but it was more like if we're gonna do infected, they were like, all right, here's your infected moment, and now we're done. We'll see some more in like 5 episodes. I'm like, there's only like 9. Like they had one bigger moment, I felt like, with the infected, and then after that moment, I feel like it definitely dwindled on the infected for the rest of the episodes.
That is actually true. But I can't say I miss them much.
So here's the thing, because if I didn't think about it for a second, and I was still like, no matter what, I still really enjoyed what I watch, and I don't need them to change what I watch. I don't think if I might say, oh, I need more infected on this episode, like I don't think I have a moment for that either, which is why I'm like, it's cool. But when they did show them, like when they first show you a clicker in the face of like, that was really cool. I would have liked to have seen more of that and see more of the people who do that type of stuff for the set when they're like getting them ready for all that. They put a lot of hard work in for that.
Yeah.
Clearly they're talented. I would have liked to have seen more of those moments, but it didn't happen. Now there's supposed to be more coming, right? For season 2 or whatever. I heard that they're doing season 2. I heard there was season 2.
No,
Season 1 was meant to be.
But yeah, I have no idea if there's an increase in the amount of in it.
No. I do hope they have like more, and we also didn't even get to see like I don't want to put potential spoiler. We didn't see a lot of the different archetypes that you would see throughout the games. I would have liked to seen a couple of there's not like a lot, don't get me wrong, but I would have liked to seen at least an instance of each one throughout the show. I would have liked to see.
They gotta spread it out. I think we saw I think there was 3.
Yeah, we saw 3.
Yeah.
I feel like
we saw it together, me and you specifically.
Absolutely.
On the couch.
Yes, sir.
Popcorn.
But I feel like that is a very video game thing, like having the different kinds of enemies. Like it can definitely be an interesting wrinkle in even a TV plot, but I feel like I get why they're trying to shy away from let's throw as many of our zombie equivalents at the viewer as possible, because The Last of Us as a video game was already very story focused. Yeah. Like you kind of get the feeling like they always wanted to do TV. So now they're on TV, like they're taking all the notes, they're taking all, they're staying true to the game's plot, but the game's plot was already kind of a TV show. Like, let's be honest.
Right. Yeah.
So like they're like, hey, we don't got the budget for these zombies. Fine, we get to focus on the characters. Oh, we don't. We think maybe we should have more set pieces between them. Like, yeah, sure, absolutely. Yeah, we're paying the actors. Let's get more of their screen
Let's get our
time
money's
as
worth.
opposed to like using CG and effects, blah blah blah. Like the story still functions, but like the infected, like they are a gameplay trope. Like the reason why there's an infection is because Joel and Ellie need stuff to shoot and stab as they go from place to place. Like this story doesn't necessarily need that in the TV medium because you, the viewer, you don't need to do anything. You just need to watch the story play out.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that they reduced that a bit.
And besides, I always thought it was an important thing to point out in the game, how they did in the games was like, yes, the infected are scary, but the people are just as scary.
Right.
Because you literally don't know who you can trust at any given moment.
Fools will rob you, son. They will take everything you got.
That's my whole thing, man. If I see, like, in real life, if the zombie apocalypse is real, I'm going to heaven. I ain't got time to deal with
that's how I be feeling, yo. That's how I be feeling. I'm like, why y'all struggling so much?
No, it's bad enough without zombies out there in that street.
Like, what are y'all fighting for?
You got to live.
Yeah, I feel you on that.
That's the sucky part, right?
Especially in Joel's situation too. Like
Joel's, after his daughter is gone, then I'm already like, it's up. Like if I didn't have my kids, I'm with you, Blue. It's like, I ain't going through this. What you mean? I'm good. The only reason I'm saying because I don't want my kids to. That's the only reason I'm here. That would be it.
Hey, this ain't a message of the day, Talia. This is just a Blue Bows exclusive PSA. This is what I'm gonna do.
He said, "Let me tell you what's going on my side. Don't come looking for me. I'm not here." That's what he said.
Yeah, that's basically what I'm saying. Like,
you guys said the zombies is let them know
first dibs. Really.
Yep.
Said
they listen.
Express.
It's y'all turn to inherit the earth. Let me know how it works out for y'all in a couple hundred years.
Upstairs,
we had a good run. I'm out.
Yeah.
But you know that one dude we killed, he had the right idea. I'm done eating these brains.
But let me see. So yeah, watched that, enjoyed that. For whatever random reason, I guess because I like having my kids watch stuff that either I saw as a kid or something that is related to. In this case, this wasn't like necessarily an old movie or anything, but it was about an old game that I really liked. So there's I feel like I talked about this a long time ago while I was on here when it first dropped on Netflix. But there's a Netflix animated film that was based off of Dragon Quest V.
Oh yeah, I watched that.
And I was like, oh, I'll play it for my kids, see if they like the art style, if they just like the animation, because they do like anime in a general sense and blah, blah, blah. Because then maybe when he's older, I'll be like, now play this game that Daddy loved called Dragon Quest V.
Let me introduce you.
So, but it was so funny because after I watched that, which I still, I personally liked the ending. I know some people didn't. They were hoping that would just play off like the game actually does, which also would have been fine for me. But because I wasn't expecting a plot twist ending, the entire thing made it seem like here is just an animated version of the story that you played. When they actually got to the ending of it and they flipped the script on me real quick, I was shocked. I actually was not expecting that ending whatsoever.
So it differs from the game?
Yes, very different from the game. No, it's not new anymore. I don't care about spoiling it. The way the game.
Did you say the name of this series yet?
Yeah, Dragon Quest V. Yeah. No, it's an animated film.
No, the film. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, is it called Dragon Quest V?
Is it a Dragon Quest Heroes or something?
No, I think it's Dragon Quest V or Dragon Quest Your Story. It might just be that.
Your Story, because it's basically yep.
Yeah, and that's the spoiler part. When it said Your Story, I just thought it was like, because the game you play or whatever. No, so what you find out is by the end of the film, when you get there, and I'm not gonna use villain names because it doesn't matter for people who didn't play it. The guy who's trying to summon the big evil dude who's gonna actually do the destruction part. When he does that summon, and what's supposed to happen is you take the holy blade, you throw it into the portal, it destroys it forever or whatever. That's what's supposed to happen. So they do that, and then everything freezes. The main character is there, everyone's frozen around him, and he's confused at what's happening. He thought he was going to be successful. At that moment, something appears in front of him, and he's like, oh, you must be the big bad thing. And he's like, no, I'm a virus. This is a video game. You are playing a game right now. You feel like you've been here for a lifetime. You've been here for 2 hours. Chill out. So basically, it's supposed to be in the future where it's like, think of like Sword Art Online. He's in the game, but they temporarily erase your normal memories or block those so that you could just be fully immersed in the game. And when he reveals that, he's like, what are you talking about? He's like, here, I'll show you. Textures off, all the textures removed from the site. And he's like, collision off, and people start falling through the floor. Like it's a program. So he's breaking his mind at that moment. But basically it's a whole moment that's supposed to be for like the gamers, because it's supposed to be some bored hacker who's like, grow up, loser. And he's like, I play video games all my life. These are important to me. And it shows like him getting the game when he was a kid from his parents and the time he spent playing Dragon Quest and how much he loves the video game. So that's it. It was literally just a moment where it was like, it's your story, because even though it's fictional, you play video games, you loved them, he had a good time. That was I was just surprised because of the whole collision textures off thing. That blew my mind. I was like, what is happening right now?
That is a big switch up to be like, all right, we're going to just tell you the story of this fantasy game. But, we're actually just going to get really meta and fourth wall breaky at the end. Just because.
Right at the end.
I'd be mad as hell.
How dare
I was just shocked. I didn't know what to do. I was like, what just happened right now?
Yeah, because you just wasted 2 hours of my life in a story that doesn't even matter in your universe.
That's the point, though, Blue. It does matter because it's the game that he was immersed in, and to him, it was real the entire time.
I was playing my own game, playing my own story.
I mean, I already played the game, so to me, it wasn't a waste. You know what I'm saying? I already played the game.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying you was gonna be mad about it. I said I was gonna be mad about it.
But that tied into, after I watched, I was like, I'm gonna go play that game now, though. So I've been playing it again. One?
Oh Lord.
Yeah, I went through and I've been playing it after watching it, showing my kids last week. So I'm like almost done because I know where I'm at. Playing the version that has a little extra content, and I mean little.
Wait, did you watch Dragon Quest? Was it what's the name with Dai?
Legend of Dai.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Okay. I have that's based off the very first Dragon Quest game. Apparently that actually used to be an anime way back in the day. My friend from Tunisia, which is like in Northern Africa, he used to watch it as a child. So when I showed him like the newer version of it, he's like, oh my God, that looks so good. So I was like, yeah, times change. But yeah, no, I watched that one too. But that's basically all I've been watching. Like I said, I'm playing the same game, Dragon Quest V. And I've also been playing, other than the obvious with D&D, I've also been playing, I don't remember the name of the game right now, so I guess it can't be that important. Yeah, nope, can't be that important, even though I just played it like a couple of days ago, but I'm having a brain fart. So, but that's all I got for me.
All right, good stuff. As for me, I finished season 1 of White Lotus.
Bruh, that I couldn't.
You couldn't? I get why you probably couldn't. Like I was kind of really down on it in the first, maybe second episode. I'm like, what is this about? And then it basically turns into this sort of really weird story. It's like the plot is about like a bunch of like just odd happenings at this very ritzy hotel between like the staff and like the rich guests. So like at first I was like, oh, is this going to be kind of like a more modern Downton Abbey type experience? Because like I love Downton Abbey, and like to just see that sort of thing recreated would be cool. But it's a lot more weird than that.
A lot more.
But the thing is, I did get hooked and interested on the plot lines that they started to introduce. Like, why is this lady behaving this way? Like, what is this staff worker going through in terms of like his addiction and falling off the wagon or whatever? Like that plot line in particular, like very, like really like, it upset me because like I really liked him as a character and he was just making the worst decisions.
100%. 100%.
And like, and by the end of the season, without spoiling anything, I really got a very Catcher in the Rye-esque feeling from it in that that book tells you at the beginning that the story has no point. Like they tell you it has no point. It's kind of just a collection of events. And this ends with kind of a lot of the characters back where they started. Like nothing like really evolves or changes. Like no one really learns anything. You just see a little bit of a little extra trauma and sadness in some of the characters, but they go right back to like where they started. And it's like, all right, so is this another one of those? Because there have been a lot over the past couple of weeks. One of those eat the rich type stories where they're just telling us how vapid and terrible like people with wealth are, and like how they don't care about whatever's around them. Like that, like the way that show ends is like the staff will probably need therapy, and then the rich people go and just live the rest of their life.
Yeah, that's part of the reason why I stopped watching that, because like I feel like there was no consequences for the rich for the most part.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the point,
reveled
right?
in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not fun to see after a while. Like
Fair.
at first, it was like, okay, this is the setup. They're being terrible people. Oh, they're gonna get away with it. Okay, I get it. That's kind of the way of the world. Are we just still gonna just keep it push? Oh, okay, all right. Well, they're just gonna move on to the next thing. And it's not like they don't remember everything, but it was.
It's just not consequential to them. Like they're
Exactly.
like what they need to do in their lives. It is just completely unaffected by what they've done to the people around them.
And they don't care. They don't.
Yeah, they
care.
have the privilege of just not caring. And like Kat says in the chat, says like real life.
Yeah, exactly. And I
Yeah.
don't want to watch that.
No, and I feel that. I feel that.
Yeah.
But I really liked all the performances. Like I do.
For sure.
I really did get
Miss
sucked into the
Coolidge
plot. What a
did
time.
her thing.
Yeah. And she
Oh, my
apparently is
goodness.
in the second season. Like it's a whole new situation in the second season.
Oh.
So I'll probably start that at some point as well. But I did like it. Like I think it's a good show. But yeah, like it's a weird one. Like just brace
think
yourself for some feelings.
Yeah, that was another thing for me. Okay, first of all, just two things real quick on that.
Mhm.
They made you ask a question in the very first episode. Who is that, right?
Mhm.
We're not going to talk too much, but you see the box and you're like, who is
Yeah,
that?
right.
That's the big question you're trying to answer the whole time. I think that's what kept me around for so long,
Uh-huh.
right? Is that question. I heard it's not even answered at the end of the first season.
No, it's answered.
It is? Okay,
Did you
okay.
not finish it?
Bro, I
Yeah,
had to stop.
the last
good,
episode.
like 70% in.
The last
Okay.
episode answers that question.
That being said, okay, so the question's answered. Cool, that's good. My thing with these people is just like we said, inconsequential. They're not getting consequences for anything, but there was a lot of racial tension
Mm-hmm.
that didn't get resolved in a.
It sure did. Like but like you're saying, like it's a thing that when you sit down to watch a thing, like maybe that's not what you and I are like trying to get out of a show. Like I don't need more racial tension in my day to day, but
especially unsolved.
yeah. But the thing is, I do appreciate how well it's done in this. Like I'm not, like Mike White is the writer. I don't know if Mike White is white, but Mike White did nail it in terms of how
Yeah.
clueless some of those conversations can be. Like somebody's trying to tell you how they feel. Like, hey, this is kind of the reality, and you're a little sheltered from it. And they just go, all right, well, whatever. And then they just kind of like they just don't learn anything.
We're the bad guys now, right? It is like all this kind of stuff. Oh my god. Yeah. I think every scene for me was just something heavy for every character. There was no character I could go back to and like, okay, this is gonna be the comedic relief, because everybody had something I was like holding my breath for.
Yeah.
Especially that douchebag dude that was on his honeymoon.
Uh-huh.
He was the most annoying to me, not because of how much of he's a douchebag, but the fact that most of his arguments were valid.
Yeah,
that was the hardest part about him.
That's the thing. The way that situation resolves, like you kind of understand where he's coming from.
100%. Yeah.
And it sucks because he is a douchebag. He is a douchebag.
100%.
But he doesn't
and
do
he's a
anything
terrible husband.
wrong.
Exactly. So like when I'm watching that and I have nobody actually to root for in this whole show, yeah, man, I'm good. But
I feel that. I feel that.
I hope it scratches the itch for you, and season 2 makes it happen. Real talk.
Yeah, I'll probably start season 2 soonish. But like, yeah, I've also been watching Last of Us. We went over that a little bit. Can't wait to see the finale and how my fiance takes it, because she doesn't know the game plot at all, and she's been really sucked into like all the writing and all the story from The Last of Us. So like, I think she's gonna push me to try to play the second game once the season's done, so we can kind of get a head start on the story.
Nice. I can finally get Ghost of Tsushima then, right?
I mean, come get it. You was just here.
Yeah,
you were just here.
Yeah, we were supposed to trade games, and you just never gave it up.
I mean, you could come get it. Like the
you
last
want me
time.
To bring The Last of Us too?
No, I already got The Last of Us too. So you can hold on to it. But yeah, so that's really good. I am a good deal of the way through Spy Family. Like I finally started it.
Thank God. That's a good one.
It's really good. It reminds me, and I'm glad that you're on this show, Blue, when I'm talking about this, because it reminds me so much of the Great Pretenders in its tone. Like it's about sort of a seedy or dangerous situation, but it's very lighthearted. Like it's very like heartfelt, and how the characters are dealing with each other. Like it wasn't what I was expecting for whatever reason. Like I thought it'd be a little darker, especially since without spoiling anything, like the main character, the father is a spy, the mother is an assassin. Like I thought it would be a little edgier. But it's so lighthearted. Like Anya's adorable. She's super cute.
Best child in anime. Like the child that actually acts like a child in anime.
Yeah, like she's very well, and like I love watching her and the other kids at her school. Like it's just super funny situations.
Great.
Did you make it to that one gym class yet?
Bro,
no, I don't think I've seen them in gym yet.
Okay.
The dodgeball episode is amazing. I know exactly what you're talking about, Jeff. And then later on in this season, there's a tennis episode that is just phenomenal. It's actually 2 episodes that they spread it over. Great. It's great. You gonna like it, man.
Yeah, so I'm making my way through that. It's a great time. I finished Bleach to get there, or at least season 1 of the new Bleach or whatever. And yeah, like I was gonna mention earlier, like I'm kind of disappointed in it. Like I wanted it to come up to the standards of other shonen and stuff today, right? Like in the back of my head was Demon Slayer the whole time. I'm like, Demon Slayer does all of this so much better. Like in terms of action, in terms of, I mean, and I know they're not going to change the story. Like I still like,
and that's
the reveals in the
problem.
Plot.
That's the problem. They should have updated the writing. This last arc came out years ago. They added like some more fights, but nobody complained about how many fights there were. It was like there was a lot of unfinished plot threads. There was a lot of like some of the same people who always got shine in the anime were the same people who finished with shine. There was a lot of stuff that was unexplored, a lot of tropes that were outdated that they should have just went back and updated. I hope that they had went back and did a lot of maybe, change it. Why not? There's a lot of times that the anime is different from the manga. Why not go back in and update a lot of stuff and kind of bring it back up to the standards?
Because y'all gonna watch it. No, real talk. Because that's the story that y'all been boosting since forever and a day, and it's been bad. So when
to be fair,
I feel when it continues to be bad, how you gonna be upset? When this is the same thing y'all been saying. This is amazing.
To be fair, I feel differently than Jeff. I don't think the writing is that bad. Like it's giving you details and reveals, whatever. Sure, it's not the most nuanced writing in the world. I don't hate it. The thing I wanted updated was the visuals, was the fighting. Like the fact that they added more fights, they didn't change the way they do fights. Like they're still just not interesting to watch.
They're always that same. They're always that same way.
That's the main reason why I watch anime over reading manga in the first place. Like because I got everything from the first season from when I was reading the manga after the show ended. Like I know that plot already. So like I was fine with those reveals. Then like I thought they were interesting. It's dumb, but I like the reveal of the history with Ichigo's past and like where he came from. And all that
complex where he's got everything he needs in his bloodline.
Yeah,
is that what you talking about?
Yeah, like I'm okay with that because that is something that I was a fan of. Well, not a fan of, but like that's something that I knew from when I read it before. Right. Mm-hmm. What I wanted was them to basically make their case for why this show needed to be animated. again because they cut it they cut it off because folks lost interest. So what can you do if the plot wasn't holding them? Give us, because the thing is, they have great characters, great designs, great abilities. Make that shine in the combat. Because if you really break it down, like I love the story in Demon Slayer, but it is very basic as well. The thing that pulls you into Demon Slayer is how amazing the fight choreography is.
Yeah.
How
the gravitas of each fight, like how much is waiting on each fight that happens. Each fight is a life or death situation, and you feel that through the characters who are fighting and their motivations. Yeah.
But no, exactly, right? And like Bleach just drops the ball in its action. Like I don't know who is in charge of kind of choreographing the action in Bleach, or if they're beholden to, I guess, how Tite Kubo like designs it when he draws it in manga form. Like they have to be like, all right, well, Ichigo does against Suga Tensho, so he has to do one here. Like they could have let them like change that stuff, right? But I don't know. I don't.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah,
Like, because I didn't finish the anime. Like, are you still in the Soul Society, or are you somewhere else once this ends?
Yeah, because Ichigo goes home and then he goes back to Soul Society.
Okay, so the fights don't really, if I'm being honest with you, this is all prelude stuff. The fights don't really start until they get to the enemy base. The beginning part of this, and
I mean, there are a couple fights though.
Right, but they drew it out. This is more so them kind of inserting the Sternwitters and showing you the threat that they pose. Like the real, when I say the Bleach fights, where these are the conclusive fights, where this person's, I fought this person, this is the outcome, or it's a group fight, or whatever is going to happen. Those final fights, those don't take place until they get to where they're going. Right now is all set up.
But as in terms of setup, like they have not given me confidence that I can expect.
They look like they dragged it out if he's still just now going back to do that. They seem like they dragged
the story
it out.
didn't. Like I've still read past the point where I watched, and that's kind of shocking to me because like manga chapters are like super short. So like it's weird that they actually didn't move that far. They're planning to kind of give this season.
That's I'm like, wait, this is because basically if I'm being honest with you, like this could have been one season from the manga. If I'm being honest with you, it seems like they're dragging it out, which is doing more harm than good.
Yeah,
because where you are isn't. These are all just set up fights, and like I said, they're just kind of showing the threat of how strong the Sternwitters are and how powerful the Quincy's are. And now everybody lost. Everybody's going into their training arc, and then we go to the big fights. It's the same formula, but this is what's going on.
Just make those fights exciting. That's all. That's all I ask.
You won't find out next season now. You won't find out next season now.
But that's the thing. I might put that off till forever because like I really didn't have a good time watching this because I wanted the exciting fight scenes to be fully animated and displayed in front of me, and I did not get that.
They dragged those fights in the beginning were like quick fights. A lot of that stuff was off screen that happens as well, so you don't see a lot of it. So I didn't know they dragged it out this bad. I thought we were at least like towards the getting into where the base and stuff was where the fights were going to happen, but no, they kind of dragged it out.
I mean, it's a good cliffhanger where they ended at, but like for them to get there, that should have been a mid-season break, I guess, and then just get there faster, or just give us better fights.
Y'all sound like them cats that keep Long John Silver's in business. like, why do you keep eating this crap? You know it's crap. Why you keep eating it?
Listen, man.
Well, I had to see it, right? Like this is Bleach coming back. Yeah. What I'm saying is they kind of dropped the ball. Like I may not go back and watch the rest of it unless I hear big improvements coming from the following season. But I do want to see the end of the story because I never finished reading the manga to the end either. So like I was just waiting to catch up and see what I didn't know already. But like we haven't even gotten there, which is another disappointment.
Where'd you leave off? Because I didn't finish either. I just want to know where you left off. I don't care if you spoil it if you're further than me.
No, I don't want to. I'm trying to remember entirely.
I don't care.
Yeah, like as I'm watching the show, I'm trying to see. Oh, do I remember this? Yes, I do remember this. So I don't fully know where I left off. But so far as I'm watching, I remember everything that's happened.
I want to know how close I was to the end. The people who finished. Can I say where I left off?
I mean, don't spoil it for me if you're past where I'm at.
Yeah, what the hell?
Did you make it? Did you make it out of the Sirite? Is the question.
I don't remember names of anything. I just know.
So did you make it out of the Soul Society? Did you make it out of the Soul Society?
I remember a main plot device, and I will just I'll message you. Hold on.
Yeah, do that on the side. Don't do it in the group chat either. Just message Jeff.
I got you.
Oh, but that does it for me. Oh, sorry. You're gonna add something?
No, that's good. That's good.
All right, so yeah, that wraps things up for me. Most of the stuff I've been playing, I can't really talk about yet. Therefore, let's get into this Jon Bernthal Daredevil business. We all know Daredevil Born Again is coming. It's going to be Disney Plus's take on the Charlie Cox Daredevil. Used to be a Netflix series. Definitely not going to be as graphic, but Charlie Cox is everybody's favorite Daredevil thus far. So it's cool to see him come back. And it's doubly cool to see Jon Bernthal, who was a fantastic Punisher in the Netflix era, come back as well. Though, Jeff, you mentioned that he said he would not come back if the show wasn't going to have an R rating. So do you think that he basically was talking out of his ass and was like, oh, well, they asked me to come back, so I'm just come back? Or do you think that they might be willing for these guys, since they are from that Netflix era, to give this a more darker, gritty R rating?
So, in the past, when he was asked if Disney did another Punisher, would he return? His response was, the only way he felt he could do the character justice is if it was an R rating, and that would be the only terms that he would come back. Mm-hmm. But also, we also know that, if there's enough zeros in something, who gonna say no? You know what I'm saying? Like, and if he read the script, maybe if he loved it, he thought, okay. It's going to be hard, just not even just because of the violence and the gore that was associated with him, just because of his motives and the way he carried out things. Just it can't be a PG-13 if one of the main characters thinks that, oh, all these guys are just better off dead. I killed them so they don't hurt anybody else. I feel like that pushes that envelope, but we will see, because he also announced. Jessica Jones will be in it.
Well, I think that is a rumor. Like, I don't think
that's a rumor. Okay,
yeah.
So it's rumored so far. It's also been. Well, let's rewind. I think they can do it, but I don't think it can be PG-13. I think
so. You don't think they can do this justice with a PG-13
if you go back
rating.
to where him and Daredevil first met in that episode they met, and they were just kind of just beating each other to a pulp, and then Daredevil got shot in the head. Remember, kind of grazed his head, messed up his sentences and stuff like that. Like that meeting, just that meeting alone, without anything else around it, I don't think that could have been a PG-13 fight. Like if you compare that to any of the Marvel situations, that the closest thing would be the Bucky and Sam versus John Walker when they broke his arm and stuff to get the shield off. And when they didn't show that either. When he beat the guy in the head with the shield and you saw the blood on there, that would be the closest. Yeah, the closest you would get to a fight between those two.
I'm sorry. I always thought that scene at the beginning of the second Captain America movie, where Steve Rogers just Spartan kicks a man into the side of a ship, his back bends over, and then he just flips off into the ocean. I'm like, that's graphic as hell. I'm like, that's okay.
Ain't no blood.
That's like the cannon fodder. You know what I'm saying? Like when you fighting, like I think we mentioned like those Mushus, Musos, where you just hit like the random dudes, like you're just knocking them out. Like nobody really pays attention to that until somebody with a name shows up, and that's when you start to see, okay, that was kind of
mercy. If you did
exactly
his punches for
exactly,
like, no reason. He just flying kicked a regular dude who's working there for maybe a week, right? But the big bad evil guy gets like, okay, we'll do this the right way, honorable. Like what?
We're gonna cuff you.
Yeah, what the hell? No.
Yeah, that's wild.
Now. Yeah,
but
I can see a PG. Oh, it's PG-13, M, and then R rating, right?
Like NC-17, I think.
Okay.
Is after R.
Okay.
Like R and then
NC-17. I don't know. I could see an M depending on the environment. Like I could see those characters in their own show could be what they're gonna be, but I don't know. Like. I mean, it could work, and then when if they go to other places, maybe they aren't, and that's because we've seen that before, where characters get toned down depending on the other properties they're involved with or the other characters they're involved with. I could see that, but I don't know. It's gonna be a hard sell just with the Punisher alone at a PG-13.
I want to say we've already seen a little bit of the Netflix universe bleed into the MCU, where Kingpin shows up in Hawkeye, and that was bad, in my opinion. Like,
You thought that was bad?
I thought that was really bad. Like,
I think it was more
changed,
comic form to the Kingpin.
but like, is that what we wanted from Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin? Like, if they were gonna make a different Kingpin, then make a different Kingpin. They brought back Vincent D'Onofrio and had him like basically be a comic book character. Like, he was super strong all of a sudden. Like, there was none of the tension of how dangerous he was in Daredevil.
Okay.
Kind of he was kind of brought over as just kind of a cameo face. Like, hey, remember this guy? So like, hopefully they're not going to go that route with Jon Bernthal in the Daredevil show, but they might, because this is kind of what they're doing now.
That's been Marvel and Disney's bread and butter since this whole multiverse has come in. Cameos. We don't care how they get in there. Look at what was it? Far From Home was just cameo the movie, right?
I liked Far From Home,
bro. I hated it for that specific reason. It's like
Hated it?
Bro, they gave any reason they could to just bring in random people. Look, the way that they found the other Spider-Man was so stupid.
No, you're right.
It was very dumb.
It was dumb.
So, okay, we could, like, my only love for that is just seeing old actors on film. But that's it. That is 100% it. That plot was freaking terrible. And that's what Disney keeps force feeding y'all. That's what Bleach keeps force feeding y'all. That's what I'm just saying. Bad writing and nostalgia is what y'all are buying.
No, you're
all the
right.
time.
You're right. 100%. The reason why I went back to Bleach was for nostalgia, and I was disappointed. I watched it, was like, oh, this is not as good as I wanted it to be.
And that's really what's happening with these Marvel cameos. They're all terribly written.
That's what people. And listen, cameos are fine to me. I like those Easter eggs and stuff here and there, but people go crazy when they're not in there. Like we saw with Andor. How many people were like labeling Andor? Like I saw just all over the place. Oh, it's not good. There's no Easter eggs.
I've not heard that at all.
Andor has been named the best representation of Star Wars.
Yeah, I don't know what person of internet you on, Jeff.
I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. But when I was looking up, like, reviews and people talking about it, like in the comments on Twitter and
which
stuff,
website?
Yeah, which people?
I was like on Rockstar, and people were commenting and stuff like that. They were like, "Oh, there's no Easter eggs, and it doesn't show that it's fully connected to
those
the
are
rest
Russian
of the
bots.
universe."
You tell those three people to shut up.
I'm just telling you. People go crazy, but also Far From Home. We'll go back to the cameo. Far From Home was good. And here's the thing, and I said this to Casey. People are more easier to accept things from properties that they like.
Yeah, that's true.
Don't.
That doesn't make it good.
They're comfortable.
No, it does not. But Far From Home, I thought was good.
I like that. Yes, I also like Far From Home.
We have to remember
I agree
that
they were shameless cameos.
Right. We have to remember that, like, that's the nature of comic books. Like,
you're absolutely right.
Yeah, like that's.
It's supposed to be corny. It's terribly written. It's terribly written. There's supposed to be stupid motivations for the stuff that they do. But we need to recognize it. But we need to recognize it when we're saying, "Oh, this is down to earth. This is more nitty-gritty." No, let's not say the same thing in the same sentence. You know what I'm saying? If it's gonna be a comic book thing, say it's ridiculous, it's loony, and it's crazy. If it's gonna be a down-to-earth, cool story, then let's talk about
they should pick a lane, right? Yeah, like you can't have both.
Thank you.
Exactly. Well, they do have both. You have street level situations, and then you have outlandish situations like people in space, and you have those street level heroes. That's how it's always been. So you have a variety to choose from. You have like your Daredevil, and then you have like your Guardians of the Galaxy, where the threat levels and the things that they like. You're not gonna see Daredevil out here fighting, no Skrulls or the Shi'ar or nothing like that.
Not yet,
but you might see that, right? But you might see that over here. It's supposed to be more ground level, so that way the people who want that, who don't want to always be in space, who don't want to always have these huge world-ending disasters that they're fighting against, you can come back down to Earth when Matt Murdock just beating the guy's head in because the guy was beating on his wife or something. Like, you can come back down to there. You always have to have both. It just gives more gravitas. It's supposed to help even it out and give more gravitas to the big world-ending events. You know what I'm saying? That you can always go back down to the smaller more street level crimes.
and that has worked because they separated literally by the movies are the big world thingies, and then the Netflix shows were the ground level things. And for a time, it was good. But now that they've kind of crossed over, it's like, all right, well, let's take our big budget, whatever, and bring it to TV when Disney Plus showed up. I feel like they have blurred those lines and they kind of have lost the plot. And it does seem like they're aware of that because, like, Ant-Man did not do well in the box office. And, like, apparently they're saying, like, they pushed a bunch of other projects down the road. So they're like, all right, we're going to release less stuff now. They're going to work on quality. So they have at least recognized it and do want to try and save us from the oversaturation or whatever. So, like, I'm confident, I guess, that because Kevin Feige has been good at this. Bob Iger does care about the property. So, I don't know. I think they'll be able to figure it out if they take a step back and think on it for a little bit.
Let's be honest, though. Like, did anybody see Ant-Man?
I've not seen Ant-Man yet, no.
Okay, so let's be honest. Paul Rudd is great, but Ant-Man has never been one of the better.
But it made money series. Though, at least
it made. But the last movie did better than the previous two.
But that, I mean, it's on a whole different scale. Like
in terms what I'm saying.
But like, because when Ant-Man came out, and this is how businesses work: is that every time they release their new thing, it's supposed to be better than the last thing. And Marvel has hit that mark consistently for years now. Ant-Man missed it. Ant-Man did not do better than the last thing.
I thought Ant-Man had its troubles. I thought it had some issues, but I think I think the villain that they picked for him was not the best fit. I enjoyed Kang. I enjoyed Jonathan Major as Kang. I think he did a fantastic job, but I think it was a huge jump. You have Ant-Man going from working at Dairy Queen, doing some jobs, some stuff like that, fighting Yellow Jacket, and then we go to Quantum Mania. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it was like just like we just talked about. We took Daredevil. He was just fighting we need you to be on the Guardians of the Galaxy. We're going to fight the Celestials or something, and we just take him to space, and it's just like.
And it's a cameo, and people are gonna lose their minds, and y'all gonna keep watching that, and y'all gonna.
No, what I mean by it's the level.
I love seeing him on screen with what's his face. Like that's what these reviews end up being. Like,
but I think that haze has lifted though, because the reviews are not saying that they loved Quantumania. They're saying like this was a bad movie. Like, well,
I think
Thor: Love and Thunder was not. Yeah,
critics.
I don't care what fans have to say. Fans don't make no sense.
I care what fans have to say because a lot of times critics are overly critical.
And you're right. You're right.
They're overly
follow
critical.
critics who have opinions that you value. That's all I'm saying.
And the people I follow that saw the movie that I value, they thought the movie was good. I thought the movie was good. And then Lampy came to my point. He said, the new Ant-Man did 622 million globally. That's higher than the other Ant-Man movies.
But was it higher than the last Marvel movie? That's what I'm saying.
Well, I was talking about in contextuals.
That's not fair.
I was saying
not fair. Because that's how that's how it has worked. The first Ant-Man that came out did higher than the previous Marvel movie that came out before it. Same with the second Ant-Man that came out. Whatever Marvel movie came out before it, every Marvel movie does better than the last one.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
For the most part,
yes. You know what? I've gotten used to them being so bad. I didn't even care about if they kept going up. I just knew another one. But
that's what I'm saying. Are alarm signals for the execs? It's like, oh, our trend has broken. All right, we need to do something.
But for me, it's when I look at it, it's like I like Paul Rudd. Ant-Man is okay, but I feel like it was never one of the bigger.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's
movies,
not.
blockbusters.
But neither was Guardians of the Galaxy.
But Guardians of the Galaxy, after the first one, it was.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Because it was good.
There's been 3 Ant-Man movies.
And the first 2 were good.
They were good because of not only what they had to work with, too. Like, I want to see you write an Ant-Man movie.
I'm not. No.
I'm just saying. I want to see you write one.
Why is it on me now?
Interesting. Like, it's on you. The ball's in your court. Marvel's calling Casey Sigma up to write the next Ant-Man movie. But also, like I said, I feel like the jump from where he was to that movie,
it's comic book like, right?
It was too much of a leap. Too much of a leap.
But that's what comic books do.
It is. And sometimes you can look past that. I enjoyed Ant-Man. I thought Ant-Man was good. I enjoyed Ant-Man. It was a solid C plus, maybe a B minus. Solid. That's it. But I don't see, without making that a series, I don't see them being able to explore some of the relationships that they introduced in that movie. We also changed actors from his daughter to another actor. I can't remember who the actor was, but I don't. Without there being further explanation into those relationships, I think that's what a lot of gripes that I saw from critics. Like I said, we saw that with fans were 80%, critics were like, way down there.
That's like spite though. Like that's what that's why I can't, like, whenever there's a rating that says critics say this, fans say that, I can't listen to the fan rating because they literally just do the opposite of what the critics do because they don't like critics. That has nothing to do with
I don't see that. I don't see people like, this critic, I don't like his.
That's what they do. That's what they do.
A lot of times when I watch something and there's such a big difference, I'm usually in line with the fan, not out of spite for the critic, but because I'm like, okay,
because you're a fan, because that's the thing you wanted to see.
I'm going to see the movie. Yeah. Same thing with what was it, Black Adam? I don't think Black Adam was horrible. It was a C movie.
Black Adam was horrible,
but like it was a C movie. It was a C movie. But the scores that they were giving it, you would have thought it was like an F. Like you would have thought, like did it do great?
You went to go watch it because you want to watch it, right?
I stayed home. I didn't go see that. I waited till it came on HBO Max.
But so you went on HBO Max and you're like, I want to watch Black Adam. Them cats have to watch it to score it.
Right. It's a different. And a lot of times it's a chore, as opposed to. Well, this is something I enjoy. The whole thing is,
but why?
Well,
would you enjoy something?
That's not even fair to say because you don't know what their fandoms are.
That's what I'm saying. But some of them are. It's a chore.
Hold on. Let me see let me say what I'm saying. Right.
Go.
Whether they're a fan of Ant-Man or not, they have to review this movie objectively. Correct?
Not always. No.
They don't have to.
They don't.
That's not their goal.
No. How many times have we seen reviews where a news outlet might be more pro? One way, pro Sony, more pro Xbox.
That's because it's an opinion.
Right. Yeah. And that's what a critic is. That's their opinion.
That's what I'm saying. They trying to be objective with their opinion.
Opinions can be biased. Opinions don't always naturally unbiased. Some of them can be like, oh, you know what?
Well, no.
Like you.
No, every opinion is biased. That is true.
100%.
That is true. What. But that's not a bad thing. That's what you're going there for.
Yeah.
Right. And when I notice that more in line, that with the things that I watch are more in line with what other people watch, okay, that's closer to that as opposed to what this person is watching. Like Black Panther. Casey, what do you think about Black Panther?
I like Wakanda Forever. I like it a lot.
What would you a lot, right? Okay. So critics, they didn't like it a lot.
That's true. Yeah.
Okay. So my point exactly. So why did you like it a lot? Did you just like those type of movies? Did you like it just because it's Black Panther and you looked over past all the mistakes?
It appealed more to me, but like I understand where some people took issue.
Right.
Like it makes sense why certain people didn't like some of the things that I glossed over because I was more of a fan of other aspects. But like I'm not sure what the point is there. Like I get that you're saying that you have your own opinion as a fan of a thing, and that's valid.
So my point is, someone who does not like anime or doesn't traditionally watch anime, who has to then go and write a review on an anime.
I don't think that's what's happening, though.
You can't assume that.
Yeah, I don't think that's what's happening.
I'm just saying.
But how can you just say you're starting your argument off of an assumption?
Jeff, I'm gonna cut you off. I apologize. We 100% know that is the case. We know what people in those positions have. I can name a person right now for you. Darren Mooney, who works at the Escapist.
Okay.
Is one of
no
the
offense
best.
To Darren.
Hold on. Let me finish. Darren is one of the best movie/TV critics I've ever read whatsoever.
Right.
He is also the biggest comic book fan I have ever known. Darren has encyclopedic knowledge of comics. Darren disliked Wakanda Forever. I disagreed with him. Darren loves what do you call it? Doctor Strange, The Multiverse of Madness. I hated that movie.
Okay. So do you see where the differences are?
But what you're saying is that a comic book fan would have
no.
liked
That's
the
not
thing,
what I said. That's not what I said. I said I go with the fan.
No.
But Darren is a fan. Darren's a fan.
Cutting me off and let me finish.
Go ahead, finish. Go ahead.
No, I was trying to finish first, and you cut me off.
No. I was responding to what Casey said.
No, go ahead.
So, what I said was I'm genuinely aligned with the fan as opposed to the critic, because the fan is the fan of comic books, not necessarily that movie. You're saying they do it because of spite. I said no. I mean because the fan went to see that movie and they're going to rate the movie.
Oftentimes they don't. That's what I'm getting at.
The fan doesn't. They don't go to the movie.
Oftentimes, when they give that fan rating, it's like before the game or the movie or whatever is even released.
You can't make that distinction in the other way. You're saying
I'm not making an assumption though. This is true that a lot of times, like critics' scores come out before things are released, and those fan reviews will get posted before anyone has had a chance to see or play the thing.
What fan reviews are you talking about?
Like Rotten Tomatoes, Metacritic. No,
that's not what I'm talking about. All right, so
what are you talking about?
No, I said that a lot of people that I follow, like New Rock Stars, Comics Explains, people with years and years of comic book history, people who follow comic books, who watch the movies, who critique them. Those are the people that I follow whose views I accept. I'm not talking about the 80% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I thought you mentioned that earlier.
No. I never said anything about Rotten Tomatoes. I'm talking about people that I follow who I know in previous past who will be critical of something if it is valid enough that they need to be critical of, but they will still give an overall impression of it. And my views generally align with them because, once again, they are fans of these properties. I stated that not all critics are fans of these properties, and that's a fact. Some are, some who aren't. I go and watch I watch the people who I know who watch comic books, who understand comic books, who won't always try to. Sometimes you can't apply real world logic to comic books. That's the nature of comic books.
I don't think that's the case. Like
I rest my point. That's my opinion.
No, that's just but it's just not the case. Like most critics don't get sent stuff that they have no affiliation with. Like the reason why Darren can
do you say that definitively? Can you say that definitively?
Yes, I can because I work in the industry. Like Jeff, I have never signed up or been given a RTS strategy game to review because I hate that genre.
Why would they?
What I'm saying is, it might not be. It might just this particular outlet. This might be the only person doing reviews. They might just do movies. You got
to be different.
There's no distinction between. That's what I'm saying. So you can't say that definitively on your side from what you've seen. That's what you've noticed, but that's not always the case.
Like if you are a critic that gets listed in one of these aggregation sites, it's usually not like one dude who has to do everything and doesn't like anything. Like that's just not the case. Like that's a very fringe. That's a straw man like argument.
Saying, but you can't say that for sure. Just like you can't say for sure that people who are voting on the fan side aren't people who are going to the movies. They're just going to do it for spite. That's a very one-sided view. You can't say that.
When those numbers come up before the thing is released, I can 100% say that. Because there's no way that they've seen the thing. Like they just haven't seen the thing.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
So
but
that's what I'm talking about.
A lot of times the critic review is out before those reviews because they
saw the thing. Yes,
exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But by the time that it evens out with the people who are actually fans and going to review it, that gives you once, like, let's say the movie leaves theaters and you go back in and you see what the final it was 60, 80 or whatever it is. That's more of a clear understanding of what people thought about the movie. But once again, I wasn't talking about Rotten Tomatoes. I was talking about people that I follow who review such Marvel properties, whether that's Star Wars or Disney or whatever it is.
Okay, and that's good. Because if you have the people whose opinion you trust, you follow them, they align with your views, like you can see what's good and what's bad based on what they're saying. That's how it should work. Like, but in general, like I do have a lack of faith in the average fan who has criticisms of criticism, if that makes any sense. Because a lot of times it is out of spite.
Yeah, criticism is healthy. It evolves the property, it helps it get better. But also sometimes I feel like some critics can be overcritical of particular situations. And I think that's the kind of what drives me. Oh, the lighting in that scene, that's what kind of put me off. I think I saw a review of the episode 2 of The Mandalorian on IGN, and it was the lighting. It got a 5 because the lighting was bad.
Some people care about that sort of thing.
It might have just been your TV because it looked fine to me. That's like that type of stuff. You get what I'm saying? like based off of everything else, that's what you're throwing that under the table for.
Let me say something real quick. I want to say something about
HDR.
Right? I'm gonna say something small about that specific point, Jeff. I think that Disney specifically, especially on these Star Wars sets, have been very lazy recently. They've been very recently. A lot of their set design is actually pretty bad. I'll just do a quick jump. I think Wakanda Forever, I loved it, but it was one of the most lazily shot movies I've seen recently in a long time. There was in
and
that.
Tell us why you think that. No, just from your background, tell us why you think that. A lot of people don't know your background.
Like I didn't want to go too far into the depths. I did some film school here in Atlanta, and I just know that they're using the LED green screen, if you will, that digital background, and they used it a good like 80% of that movie. That's only reason. That's my criticism of the production of the movie, right? So going back to oh my gosh, what was the series we were talking about as far
Mandalorian?
as Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, so they were talking about how the lighting was bad in Mandalorian, right? Now again, I haven't seen it, but I can understand people's constant gripes with specifically these Star Wars series. Mm-hmm. Boba Fett had a lot of set issues. The original Mandalorian had a lot of set issues. This is something that's actually a consistent mistake with Disney. So I don't think people are just bringing it up for no reason. If it looks bad, and if you know what you're talking about, it looks bad.
Right. But my thing is, that's a point, 2 points. You get what I'm saying? Like the in my opinion, that's what I'm saying. Some people will weigh certain things far more than I would or you would or whatever it was. Right. So the little ambas, they're in a cave underground. That's it. How much lighting is
There's plenty.
It ain't gonna be no natural light coming down there. You get what I'm saying?
You're asking right now, right? Because you don't know the intricacies. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Okay, so you asking, and I'm gonna tell you, there's plenty of different ways to light inside a cave.
What I'm saying, we were talking about expertise. You're an expertise on caves. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. You're talking about lighting. I'm talking about when you're in a cave. I'm not saying like, they could have lit the cave up with lights and stuff like that
on screen, Jeff.
I'm saying reality, right? When you're in a cave.
Right? Reality, we're not talking about reality because most stuff
we were talking about things being grounded, right? We were talking about someone's in a cave. My thing was how light.
What you wanted though? You wanted a grounded Mandalorian in a pitch black cave.
I did
with an alien frog baby. Like what?
There was no frog babies in this one.
The last time the lighting that was realistic was in Game of Thrones, that really dark episode, and everyone's like, I can't see stuff. Like, bruh.
But that's a valid concern. Yeah, that's a valid concern. Yeah. We should be able to see stuff because we're watching a TV show. Like I
saw everything, so that's why I said it might have been his TV. He might have had it in the wrong port or something. That might have been going on because the lighting looked fine to me as a regular old smegalo viewer.
Yes. So why do you diminish the opinion of somebody who has expertise?
I never diminished it, but what I'm saying is, for you to fail a show, if you did a movie and it was failed because that scene was not lit well, it's a 5. 5 out of 10.
I guarantee you that's not the only reason why it's a 5.
That is not the only reason.
Come on, that's what the whole thing said. It said lighting was bad.
Are you reading like the cliff notes at the end near the number?
No, I read the whole review.
And the whole review was like, yo, this lighting is terrible. Let me go into 7 more paragraphs about why this lighting hurt my opinion.
Talking about the ambient lighting. He was talking about all of that. And I'm like, okay. But a 5 though? I can see if you dropped it to like a 7 or an 8 or something. Like there was no gripes about the story.
I would say don't focus so hard on the number. Like numbers are super arbitrary anyway.
Yeah.
Like get what you need out of a review from the text. Like that's where the nuance comes in. Like the number might have actually been off. Like maybe they did give it like a fairly low number versus what they actually wrote or how they felt about the thing. I wouldn't hamper on the number so much, but I don't know. I've not seen the show yet. If you're a fan of that stuff and you like it, more power to you. Like we don't all have to agree in regards to media,
absolutely not.
Right?
Yeah.
But I will say is if someone can explain their opinion at least, then it's fine. Like don't just say a thing is bad and then be like, oh, I don't know why. Like that would annoy me.
It's just bad.
Yeah, like
or like all
those
types
of
like
it was just one sentence. Lighting is bad, 5 out of 10. I'm like, I know that's not the case.
Yeah, like there's definitely more to it than that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, because I kind of just stated what it was. I read it and said what it was. Like there was nothing bad about anything else he said. It was just, the lighting was bad. Everything else,
I'm gonna have to read this fucking Mandalorian.
Yeah, you should.
Now.
I'm gonna send it to you. I'm gonna send it to you. I'll bring it to your house.
Print it out.
Real quick.
Yeah, go ahead, Ash.
Real quick. So the original topic, right? I just wanted to say. I just wanted to say. If it's not rated mature, I probably won't watch it. That's it for me. I have to remind myself what the ratings are because it's supposed to be a show or a movie. I'm sorry.
It's gonna be a show. Yeah.
Okay. So I know show is like we got Y. I think there's another Y.
Yeah.
There's G, PG. Then there's 14. They didn't do 13 like they do for movies. Don't know why. And then there's mature. So between 14
there's something
and
before
mature.
PG. There's something before PG.
Yeah, just G.
I mean, okay. G. You said there was a Y.
Yeah,
there's
Y,
Y.
like young.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's like Y10 or something like that.
Oh wow. Okay.
That's why 10 it's a number. Basically means like how PG and PG-13 same thing. Y7 like it's still for young, but you probably want to be over this age or whatever. I think that's when they kick in like fantasy violence as a thing in a rating, if I remember correctly. Whatever. Point is, if it's between because it can't be PG, that'd be ridiculous. So it's literally only going to be between 14 and mature.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to watch Daredevil if it's only 14. Like that's simple. I can't do it. Even without the Punisher's character, I don't want to do it. When I look at Daredevil, ignoring like the Daredevil stuff to me always felt like who's on the same end? We got Daredevil and Spider-Man, right? They're both in the same
part of New York.
Yeah, they're both in New York. We got Spider-Man doing, and don't get me wrong, obviously in like comics, I know for a lot of the comics, they get a lot more dark than we ever see on. I saw someone show me some things for a certain comic where there was a lot of stuff. I'm like, they'll never put that on TV. Like that just won't happen. Maybe on HBO. HBO will go that will be a little bit more like that, but no one else, right? So I was looking and I was like, for me, Daredevil between Spider-Man is like, yeah, in most media, like watch media, it'll be a little bit more lighthearted. It'll be a fun adventure. There's more serious moments, but when I look at Daredevil, is usually people are going to die today. People's lives are horrible. Man. Like that's what I get whenever I see Daredevil. Life sucks. I'm legit in. Like we're in Hell's Kitchen. We're not where Peter is. We're in Hell's Kitchen, and that's like meant to be the point. We are in Hell's Kitchen. I don't want to go and have a 14-year-old experience of Hell's Kitchen. I don't think that's gonna give me the actual Hell's Kitchen. That's like saying neighborhoods where I'm from won't mean anything to y'all, but it'd be like I don't know. Give me. I don't know. Good stuff. If I go back in the past, I don't know if places have been gentrified or not already. That's like the difference between like going to the nice neighborhood versus Compton. Like there's a big difference in the experience if it's only rated 14 versus mature of what they're going to show me of what actually went down in that neighborhood. So like I don't want to see the censored version of it. Like if you don't give me that everybody's life is basically horrible here in Hell's Kitchen
so do
experience, show me everything.
So do we think Disney will give them that?
I don't believe that whatsoever. Okay. But if they do it, I'll be happy. But I don't believe it whatsoever.
I don't think they would have brought it back if they weren't going to give some semblance of what it was before. Maybe not exactly, but I think maybe hopefully close to, because they would be taking a big leap because they brought it back because these characters worked on the Netflix series. They brought it back.
Not because they worked. There's a difference.
I'm sorry, what?
It's because they sold, not because they worked. They
did work. Did you see Daredevil?
I watched the majority. I watched the first season and I watched beginning of the second season. I had to turn that stuff off, man.
Okay, so critically and fan rated, it worked. If we want to just say that, it's like for the most part, the Daredevil and Punisher.
Am I a critic? Does my opinion be better?
I'm just saying it worked from overall consensus. It worked.
Okay.
You know, whether Casey didn't like it, you didn't like it, I didn't like it, whoever, but overall it worked based on how we're judging it, like
reception.
Daredevil, Punisher, Jessica Jones to an extent, maybe not Luke Cage as much. Definitely
Luke
not.
Cage
Iron
worked until the end.
Yeah, I mean,
the last season was bad.
Until they got rid of, I think them killing Marshall
Cottonmouth.
Ali was kind of a bold choice. But anyway,
Where's my blade at?
Iron Fist was bad, so obviously we know he's not
Iron
coming
Fist
back,
is bad.
or not in that same iteration. He's not coming back. So, like, we know they pretty much put them back because they made money, and that's how they judge it. You know, made money, was overall received very well.
I
so
would-
they're gonna bring.
That's exactly why I said it's sold.
Well, I mean, it was a show, so it was hard to tell based on the show how much money it made. Because usually those shows generate money.
Yeah, like
from,
on
from the
streaming service, yeah, you
toys.
really can't tell.
Yeah.
But I agree. Popular consensus would say that those shows were successes, and that those versions of the characters were super popular. But I think more so than the fact that the old show worked, they're still kind of chasing the nostalgia hits like they've been doing in a lot of the other stuff. So it's like, oh, you guys liked Jon Bernthal as Punisher, you guys liked Charlie Cox as Daredevil. Here he is again. But they have said that this is a reboot. Like, this isn't a continuation of the Netflix show. So, like, they are banking on the fact that you know Charlie Cox as Daredevil and then just putting him into a new thing. So, like, that's why I really don't know. Like, it could go either way in terms of them being like, all right, well, we want to do a new thing, and we recognize that this character requires a certain level of maturity. Like, they might do that. Because like they have said that we'll slow down and evaluate the quality of et cetera, or they might still have their heads up their asses and be like, oh, well, he's popular. We just need to put him in the formula and then we'll have another hit on our hands. Like maybe, I don't know.
Can I ask a question? So we see that they bought the Netflix shows to Disney Plus, and that's when you had to go in and update your password and stuff like that.
Yeah, because they were already
rated, right? So do you think that this was kind of helping to kind of ease into some of that?
It could be.
To get away. Oh, Disney Plus. I mean, my kids should be able to go in there and watch anything on there without me being involved, right? Type situation.
Yeah,
as opposed
it could
to
be. Yeah.
Right. So listen, if they don't, I think they're shooting themselves in the foot. It would have to be amazing.
I kind of agree.
It had to be amazing if it's not, but also that's gonna be very hard to do. For example, like one of the best scenes from Daredevil out of any of the seasons was that hallway scene with the bikers.
Yep.
I think a lot of people.
Season 1.
That is one of the best.
That one scene, bro.
That is one of the best.
Talking about
not even in just Daredevil.
The first season.
Yeah, that was
good.
Just one episode in the first season. That's what everybody remembers.
Because it's really good. Like it's a highlight. That's what.
What else is a highlight of that show, though?
A lot.
There's a lot.
Not a bunch.
There's
not a bunch.
Fight with Punisher.
Yeah, Jon Bernthal's and like because Blue, you said you checked out of the back half of the second season, and that is fair because that is when they brought in the Hand, and the Hand is terrible.
The Hand was good in Daredevil.
Nope.
The Hand was bad in Defenders.
Nope.
Yep.
They were not good in Daredevil.
I mean, Nobu's son. Nobu was a threat.
Nobu's not the Hand. Nobu is a character. The Hand was not a character.
Nobu worked for the Hand. The Hand was an organization, man.
And the Hand as the big bad was terrible.
In Defenders, it was bad. In Daredevil, when they was masking their heartbeat and stuff like that, like that was
all corny. I hated that.
That was corny.
Like not that in particular, but the fact that the bad guy turned into this faceless, analogous.
That's
enemy.
the Hand. That's straight from the comic book. You bring the Hand.
That is bad. That
there was
did not
no
work.
Hand.
Thank you. Comic book can be bad.
I thought it
can be bad stories. Can we just
bad stories? But from your point of view, every story is bad. Like, oh, you still talking about that from the first season? You said that's how you know it's bad. It's from the first season. You still talk about it. No, that's how good it was.
No, what I'm saying is there was no escalation.
You didn't finish it. You said,
bruh, nobody else talked about anything past that first season.
Nobody else?
Just because the hallway fight scene is a fan favorite highlight doesn't mean that there wasn't anything else as good or you know what I mean? Like a lot of stuff comes to mind in terms of just the Daredevil myth, even stuff from the third season. Like Wilson Fisk is a fantastic villain, and he is all over every season of Daredevil.
I'll give you that. I think that's what kept me watching Daredevil because I didn't like Daredevil himself. Wilson Fisk was really what sold me on that.
And that's fine. Like there's people are gonna like different things, whatever. We already went over that. We can move off of the Marvel topic though. We don't have a ton of time left, so we'll just introduce this last topic, and everyone will just have a right to give like their own little bits and pieces of how they feel. But essentially, Sony has made a kind of some arm flailing claims here at near the end, it seems, of this Activision Blizzard deal. They've claimed that essentially Microsoft could possibly release a worse version of Call of Duty on PlayStation systems versus any other systems in order to harm their reputation with the user base and then get people to jump ship to the rival console after the fact.
Yeah.
This sort of insidious behavior. They claim that this is something that they're worried about. They also, hold on, what else did they say? Because I'm blanking now.
What was it? The CCO, I think.
Oh, right.
Activision.
Lulu Chen. She's the CCO for Activision Blizzard. She stated that in a meeting, she heard Jim Ryan, PlayStation's Europe's head, essentially say he doesn't care about Call of Duty.
He doesn't want to do a new deal.
Yeah, he doesn't care about a deal of Call of Duty. He cares about blocking the Activision Blizzard deal. Like that is, so he doesn't care what harm it does. He just does not want this deal to go through.
Right, and that's what most people we already knew. Like it's not about Call of Duty. That's just what they picked. That was going to be the gripe that they were going to hold on to. And then when you give them that, and they're like, "Oh well, no, we don't want it. We were giving what you were asking for. So what's the issue?"
Right, like they just keep moving the goalposts as to what the problem could be. As Microsoft keeps scrambling to solve all the problems because they want the deal to go through. So we had a conversation last week about kind of the pitfalls of just big corps doing acquisitions in general. Like we get that it's generally a bad thing, but in this case, I am still kind of rooting for it. Like what is Sony's end game, you guys think? Like should this deal fail or go through? Like either way, they're kind of making enemies of everyone else in the room, and they have relationships with everyone else in this room. So how does the landscape of the console wars or even the publisher wars and rivalries and whatnot look like after this? Because Sony is kind of going scorched earth at this point.
They have 80% market share. Why would they care about anything else? Either you're gonna make money by putting it on their console, or you're not. I mean, it's business. I get it. Why would they want to put this in Microsoft's backyard and give them this tool? I mean, not that it's going to close the gap. We don't know if it will, but I doubt it will. But also, they have 80% market share in consoles. So why would they care about? You're going to put it on my console. Where else are you going to put it? Like, you don't have a choice. You can not like me, but guess what? You want money, right? You're going to bring it over here. We can do what we want. Like, who cares?
So you feel you're saying it's like, oh, this is just business. Like they'll get, like, regardless of what happens after the fact, Sony's like, we have 80% market share. You can be mad at us. You still have to use our services in console. You still
I mean, they got 80%. That sounds pretty accurate to me. That's a lot of money lost if that's an actual number. I don't know.
Like Activision couldn't do anything in response if they tanked the deal.
Yeah, that's a lot of money to lose out on. It's like Sony putting their games on PS4 after PS5 came out because there were so many PS4s still out and they couldn't get PS5s in enough houses during COVID and stuff. So they're like, we need games to still be out on PS4. We're losing money. Like,
because they know. Like, here's the thing. Like, I'm an Xbox fan. I like my Sony exclusives. Guys, I got a PlayStation 5 right here. So even though I'm talking crap, I still
wait a minute, humble brag. So I got this. I got
like
this.
It's in my lap right now.
It's in my lap. I'm stroking it right now. Wait a minute, Jeff.
Sorry. Like, they got exclusive missions on PlayStation. Should I get it for PlayStation? And I'm like, no, what? No, that's not cool. I'm boycotting. I'm getting on Xbox just because of that. Right? But guess what? When Spider-Man 2 comes out, or in the Wolverine game, or whatever comes out, guess what? I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it anyway. So they can do pretty much. They don't have to be friends with Xbox. They're not trying to be inclusive.
Yeah, but like that. But what's actually very funny about that? Ooh, doggo. What's actually very funny about that is, like, this is what Sony is fighting against on paper. Like, oh, this monopoly will irreparably harm the industry, whereas Sony is the one who has the market share and has this sort of disastrous control over where people can get their games. Because they are so popular, they're so big. But it's like it is just business. I think at the end of the day, it's just business. I think Microsoft knows that, like, yes, so it's in Sony's best interest to block this from happening. So like they're gonna say whatever to see what sticks.
It's apple to oranges, but like if there was another, like I'm surprised Warner Brothers didn't put up much of a fight when Disney acquired Fox, like, because that pretty much gave them the thing is they own Marvel, but they were missing a lot of stuff like mutants and stuff like that, and other stuff that involved in there. Like I was surprised that nobody contested that, and to me that was a much huge. And I know it's games to movies, but and shows. But to me, it was a much huger acquisition as far as
like IP
relative to each IPs and stuff like that. Like I just thought that was weird, but like I said, it went through.
And I do think part of that is the reason why there's so much scrutiny during this deal, because it's like during that particular administration, there wasn't a lot of oversight. Like these big companies could just keep getting bigger. They were just eating everything. Like Warner Bros was probably like, oh, if they can get away with that, we can probably get away with something too. So like they're not going to put up a fuss because they probably want to do the same thing at some point. I don't know if they have already, but like what even would be that big?
Who can? Yeah, exactly. Like I don't think there's.
But that's the thing. Like Disney did that because they are all in on Marvel, like Star Wars to a lesser extent, but Marvel is their bread and butter. We have a couple of our characters over there, get them. Like that, it meant that much to them. I don't think Warner Brothers has that problem. Like they have all of the DC stuff under their umbrella. They have a lot of other, like they have Harry Potter in their back pocket. Like that's a multi-million, billion-dollar franchise or whatever. They have Lord of the Rings in their pocket, billion-dollar franchise. Like they're not hurting for other IP. So
I just mean as far as, that's my rival. If I can stop them from getting more money or getting stronger, why wouldn't I interject something?
Yeah, I just think it's maturity in the movie industry. Yeah. Like they've been doing this for so long. They're like, if they can get theirs, we can get ours. Like more power to you.
Yeah. It's not always a direct offensive competition. Sometimes like let's both come up and see who gets bigger. That's
right. Yeah, like they're all on the same team in the movie industry, even though they're different. Because they're not really rivals. They're all advancing the same agenda. Video games is weird that way. Is that those companies legit act like rivals?
But here's the thing: 80% market share, and there's still other. I don't know. I don't remember the thing I read if it incorporated the Switch into there. I don't
Probably
think
not.
it did.
Yeah, I think all of this has been ignoring Nintendo entirely.
80% to 20%, fam. 80% to 20. You own 80% of the monies in the console game to 20%. Do you think that them acquiring? Because I highly doubt it would even bring them up to 50% market share or 40%. I think
probably not.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. So, like, I don't get it.
It's just business. It's like that. It's that thing where Nintendo will sue some no-name indie whatever into the dirt because if they don't do it this time, somebody else might be able to get away with it next time, right? It's like we have to do this because the laws of business demand it.
And kind of like you said 2 years does set a precedent, because if it does try to happen again, they'll be like, you let them do it, why can't we do it? And that'll legit be the case. Like the lawyer will literally come in first with that. It'll be like, they did it. Nobody was mad that time. What's different? And then they'll just be passed. If somebody
the CMA does approve it and this merger goes through and Sony does not have a deal, where do you think that leaves them as far as Call of Duty?
Let
me go first.
Go ahead.
I got this. I don't care. I'll be playing on PC. All right, come on. I don't care.
Oh man, I would say that if the deal goes through, Sony is still like making a big stink, and like they don't accept any sort of deal. Microsoft does have an image to uphold because they skirted through the deal by saying that they would do certain things. So like even if they don't have a deal in place, they'll probably still publish the game on Sony.
It's money. Why not?
Yeah, it's money. But it'd be really funny if they just did what Sony thinks they do. It was like, hey, let's release the buggy version.
Just say I've been trying to get somebody $500. Hey, here's just $500. You did some work for me, right? Oh, I'm sorry, Blue. Go ahead.
No, you got it. Go ahead.
Here you go. oh, that's not enough. You go to court. Court's like, oh, you get $200, and you go, and then, oh, you're gonna give me 500, right? Because that's what you're gonna give me before. Nah, bro, I was gonna give you 5 before, but you want to go through all this. Here's 2.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be like a month-to-month type deal instead of a 10-year contract.
Month to month, man.
But once again, like you said, they're trying to be inclusive. So if they're putting it on Switch and they're putting it on was it NVIDIA, that's not more of a that's more of a
That's like
play
cloud
games.
play thing
Yeah.
for PC.
So, and they're putting it. I don't see them not putting it on PlayStation, even if this doesn't go through. But you think will PlayStation still be so, so strong in their stance on we don't want no deal. We don't care what they said. We don't want your Call of Duty.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like if the deal completes and Sony can't object to it anymore, they'll be like, also, how about that deal? and it's on Microsoft to be like, all right, well, here it is, because we did promise it before. Or they could be petty. I don't know. I feel like Microsoft, or at least under Phil Spencer, has not been that petty. But who knows? Like, they might have been really agitated by what Sony's been doing here.
Couldn't be me, man.
I was gonna say,
hey, look, I gave you a deal once, all right, and you said, forget the deal, F you personally. That's what you said.
That's kind of what they said.
Blue go mob boss real quick.
I'm not trying to go mob boss. This is business, right?
I offered you a deal, and you said no. In fact, you spit in my mouth.
Ew.
Some people
now
like that on the
I
internet,
bust those knees.
So, long story short, if it goes through, look, if I give you the same deal, that's when you should start looking at that code that I gave you, because I gave you a buggy version 100%. Back a while before. I wasn't going to do it before, but you did all
you
this.
gave me the idea. Thank you.
Real talk, because I don't think anybody has done that before or has gotten caught putting bad versions of a game
Purposely.
on a
Like who would that benefit?
I don't know because at the end of the day, what Sony could say is, "Oh, see, as soon as Xbox took over, this stuff don't work."
That's for a refund.
All the refunds. But that being said, the pettiness in Blue says, "Yeah, you guys were rude. There's consequences. There's consequences. You're either taking a lesser deal, y'all people are paying a little bit more, whatever is clever, but y'all spit in my face. Not in my mouth, in my face." So I'm gonna smile, for sure, because we got to keep the stock prices up. But man, look, y'all saying some wild stuff, and Activision notices it too. It's not just like
like they are getting frustrated
in front of
Sony
company.
too.
All right,
In front of company. Okay.
you being that blatant with it too. You just listen. I don't care what you offer. We ain't gonna accept it. Let's just move on. You can just keep saying you offering this stuff, and we'll keep coming up with excuses of why we couldn't accept it, and we'll just keep this going. Yeah. But like, do you think based just off of Sony alone, because it was stated like a lot of stuff like, oh, third party this didn't have any issue with any of this. Like Nintendo is just on their own thing anyway. Like Nintendo
somehow exempt.
From Nintendo. But like, do you think because it's like we said, the rich getting richer? I mean, not to say Microsoft isn't rich. Let's just be honest here. But like, if you clearly have a lead, you know what I'm saying? Like, how are you going to complain? And it's not like a minuscule lead. It's such a huge lead that you've had for decades.
Yeah, at this point, yeah.
So like, if anything, this would be good for the consumer to help shake things up.
Good for competition, but like
here for the consumer though. They've stated that multiple times. Sony's not here for the consumer.
They here to win.
I think every single Nintendo hurt them in the beginning. They just never been okay. When Nintendo left them,
they still carry that chip on their shoulder.
Hey, that might be.
Y'all gotta
they said, you know what? We about to be on top, and nobody's about to deny us. It's PlayStation, boy.
Like anybody who has a semblance of getting their weight up, they just stomp on them. Like. It makes sense. They got that chip on their shoulder. That's how they got where they are today.
This big Sony in the building.
Like you said, it's sometimes business ain't nice. Sometimes business ain't pretty. If they think it's going to take more coins out their pocket, then Yeah.
Any final statements in regarding to this story? Anything else that we talked about, or we get to wrap things up?
I have a super quick final statement. Even if it was like reverse, like if Microsoft had the 80 and Sony had the 20 or PlayStation had the 20, I feel like they would still kind of have to, no matter what, the game would have to come out on the other console, whether one side didn't like it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Just because ever since the Modern Warfare 2019 one,
Mm-hmm.
which was technically the first ever cross-plat Call of Duty, if you go back and it's not on their friends' consoles anymore, like now,
That'd be a problem.
if it just that would be a problem. I don't think something can go cross-plat and then like go back to being only. Well, it was exclusive before. Like people they just couldn't play together.
Right.
But you can't go back to that. So like no matter what, whoever said no to that, they would look like the bad guy to consumers.
Absolutely.
Heavily. Like people might switch for that reason. Screw any other the stuff that they're worried about. They switch because like, oh, PlayStation won't let us do cross-plat or cross-play anymore. I'm out. Like I can see people switching for that because they'll be like, well, they might do it to another game next if they don't like deals or whatever. All I want to do is play with my friends. I don't care about these deals.
And Sony has historically been really weird when crossplay is offered as well. Like they'll be like, oh, we can do crossplay, but you have to pay us anything that we would lose from someone spending money on our store or on a different store. Like weird nonsense like that. That all came out from like the Epic Apple.
Epic Apple thing, yeah.
So yeah, it could be really because they might be like, all right, well, give us the deal we used to have with Activision, where some sort of stipulation like that was done, and Microsoft could be like, no, like this might come out in other petty ways. We might not get to see that until like years down the road, but who knows?
But that was it.
So nice. All right, I guess that does it for episode 97. I hope you guys enjoyed. Feisty stream. Ash, where can folks find you? What do you have coming up?
You can find me at Ash Redux. I haven't streamed for like the last 2 weeks because I had my anniversary and
congratulations!
Too.
That was on February 28th, right? Leap year.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, true.
Look at me, man. Got it.
Jeff, know your whole life.
It's in my Rolodex.
That's not weird.
But yeah, so sorry. You can catch me at Ash Redux. But I do plan to get back on it this week. The usual days I stream are Monday and Friday evening. So make sure you tune in 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will be there. I'm dying in Sifu again, probably tomorrow is what I plan on doing.
Have you finished it and are like going back through it, or you still haven't got to that?
Nope. This is my first time actually like trying to play my way through it, and I got more mad because I saw someone like a little YouTube short today where they did like the stereotypical in this case Sifu, not Sensei, with the arms behind your back, just looking at one of the boss characters as a taunt or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, you have much to learn, young one. He did that, and as soon as she came to attack, dodged it, did like a super combo on her, and then went right back to that pose. I was like,
he's a IP man on her.
Yeah, that's when it just went right back to the pose. I was like, yeah, I'm nowhere near that good. This is gonna suck because I'm playing on the hardest difficulty too.
You get there. Nice. Blue, how about you? What do you have coming up? Where can folks find you?
Yeah, you guys, if you know me, you know that I'm kind of in the background right now. But there's, like I mentioned earlier, I'm doing a lot of writing for D&D. There's some nuanced roles coming up that I'm gonna open up to the open party. But Ash knows he's involved in 2 of my stories so far. It takes a while to set this stuff up, so tabletop fans, just if you want to talk about D&D, let's do it. I'm probably gonna set up a channel in the Discord, to be honest with you, if you want to just in general talk about it. But get ready if you're trying to be a player into a super dope universe. Like I said, Ash can vouch. He was in the first part of this story. We're going into actually, it's really cool. We got 2 campaigns coming up that are running in the story canonically simultaneous. Both groups are going to actually meet up twice during this campaign. It's going to be a super campaign. We got 8 people rolling down on some world-breaking situations. So
nice.
There's some really cool custom content that's in there, but just stand by. And like I said, we're going to get the tabletop discussion going. That's a lot where my head's been at. So if you're looking for me on Twitter, look for BLUB0NES.
Nice. Superman, Jeff, where can folks find you? What do you have coming up?
Oh man, so this week Today we'll be back with Super Smash Sunday. We'll be back at that. So check that out at 2:30 p.m. Eastern. Last Friday we had our first free for all Friday back in a while.
Yeah.
We did Hot Wheels Racing. That was a lot of fun.
That game was
So
fun.
it was a lot of fun. Like those wacky tracks and stuff. Shout out to the Escapists. Seeing them play that, I was like, oh, that'd be a good fun, group game to play. And it was. We had a lot of fun with that. This Friday we'll be back again. So tomorrow, Monday, I'll be taking submissions for new games that people might want to play. So submit those in the Discord. Make a recommendation. We'll choose what game we're going to play, and then we'll be back with that on Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And then tomorrow, I'll be back with some Destiny 2, and then a couple streams throughout the week. I'll be popping in to do some pop-up streams. So stay tuned for that. Pop in the Discord. Got different channels in there for Smash. Might do some Smash this week, so definitely stay tuned to that. Yeah, that's it.
Nice. Yeah, we were actually running like a private room in Smash yesterday. Like me, Jeff, and Stu were in there getting a bunch of matches in. Lots of fun. As for me, you can find me at Sigma Gears 9 on Twitch and Twitter. Like Jeff mentioned, Super Smash Sunday, 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Open Party channel. So run over there, subscribe now, hit the notification button so when we go live, you know that we're over there. Outside of that, I have a written document up on Smash Brawl. The 15-year anniversary was March 9th, so I wrote a little thing about how the Subspace Emissary is still kind of the super memorable thing that has no equal in the genre. So you can check that out on the Escapist site. We're probably going to be finishing Half-Life next Thursday with me and Marty, and our Get Jesse to the Greek stream. We'll be starting God of War 3 and giving Jesse the test for God of War 2. So tune into that. We had to skip last week because we had technical issues, but we'll be starting on a big note. Then, and outside of that, reviewed Wolong Fallen Dynasty. That's up on the Escapist YouTube, so check that out. And there's also like a tips guide, a beginner guide, I should say, for Wolong on the Escapist website as well, so you can search that out. Can't think of anything else really at the moment, but there's a lot going on. Going to be traveling in 2 weeks' time at this point, and episode 100 of this podcast will be in Milwaukee. Like,
wow.
I've gotten confirmation
Nice.
that I can borrow some stuff and get a podcast going out there. So it should be a really fun time. Hope you guys are excited for it. But thank you, Ash. Thank you, Blue. Thank you, Jeff. Thanks everybody in chat. It's been a great time. We'll see you next week. Peace.
Deuces.